Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, deja vu struck for women's basketball against Ohio State. We'll give you the scoop of the road loss.
And swim and dive continued their undefeated season, beating 2 top 15 opponents. We'll show you how it happened. This is Hoosier Sports Night.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Sam Brunsman.
And I'm Rehklau. Sam, we got Super Bowl Sunday coming up around the corner. We got Usher dropping an album on Friday, so who you got?
Can't say I'm going to be listening to the Usher album, but I will be tuning into the Super Bowl. Should be a fun one, should be a close one, should be go down to the wire. I'm excited to watch it. Another close game, Indiana women's basketball's comeback fell short on Sunday against Ohio State. The Buckeyes handed the Hoosiers their third-ranked loss of the season. Our Kelsey Dennehy has more from Columbus.
Indiana fell to Ohio State on the road 74-69, the Buckeyes handing the Hoosiers their fourth loss of the season.
They're very athletic, and that's what they feed off of. Their press and creating turnovers and causing turnovers and scoring and whatnot. So, it wasn't like we were surprised by it, but we just didn't handle it very well today.
We didn't respond very well to it at times. So, it's fresh right now. It's just going to be about going back, looking at film, and finding ways to get better.
Sarah Scalia helped give the Hoosiers their best shot at a comeback as they came as close as 3 in the final minutes of the fourth quarter.
Never surprised by our fight. I mean, these kids, and I think I've said it before, they care. They care, and they're competitive, and they want to do well, and they want to be successful for one another.
It was Indiana's lengthy list of turnovers that ultimately cost them the game, giving the Buckeyes 21 points out of their 23 turnovers.
We were all guilty, I think, of making, poor choices. Our spacing at times was not what it needed to be. Against a press like that, you need to stay spread out.
The Hoosiers will look to regain their momentum on Thursday at home against Michigan State. From the Schottenstein Center, I'm Kelsey Dennehy, IUSTV Sports.
Men's basketball also traveled to Ohio State, but they left Columbus with the opposite result. Things did not start well for the Hoosiers. They trailed by 13 at halftime and as many as 18 in the second half before Trey Galloway and Malik Renew got cooking. Renew ended up with 28 points and 14 boards, and Galloway picked up 25 in the scoring column. But the biggest shot of the night came from Anthony Leal, who splashed in the go-ahead 3 with 22 seconds left, and IU won 76-73.
The design was just for Trey to get downhill with the lob option to Khalil and me and Mac in the corners to try to find us, and Trey made the right play and I was able to make a shot. So,
Indiana will head to West Lafayette on Saturday looking for revenge on the blowout loss against Purdue earlier this season.
The Indiana women's tennis team faced a tough stretch on the road, dropping matches to West Virginia and Xavier. The Hoosiers fell by a score of 5-2 to the Mountaineers. Sophomore Nicole Teodescu won the number 3 singles in 3 sets. And freshman Elizabeth Dunak won the number 5 singles to improve to a personal 5-0 on the season. Indiana fell to Xavier once again 5-2. Grad student Sabine Hilani came away with number 3 singles, and Dunak won her singles match again, improving her record to 6-0. The Hoosiers will face another test on the road when they travel to Tuscaloosa to take on Kansas State on Saturday and Alabama on Sunday.
Indiana track and field traveled to South Bend, Indiana to compete in the Mayo Invitational this past weekend. The Hoosiers once again dominated the track with pole vaulter Nathan Stone taking a third-place podium finish with a 5.5-meter jump. Kanisha Phillips also took home the 200-meter title with her best time of 23:88. Graduate student Jessica Mercier broke the women's indoor pole vaulting record this weekend with a jump of 4.41 meters, ranking her 3rd in the Big Ten and 5th in the NCAA. Runner Morgan Snow was victorious in the women's 400-meter race with a time of 55:67. Thrower Tyler Reyna also threw his personal best in the weight throwing competition with a distance of 18.12 meters. The Hoosiers will be back this weekend in Chicago, Illinois to compete in the Windy City Invitational.
Coming up after the break, we crown this week's Hoosier Highlight Athlete of the Week.
And wrestling pulled off an epic comeback. We'll give you the details on how it happened.
Hoosier News Source, Wednesdays on IUSTV.
Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night.
Joining us in studio for this week's Hoosier Highlight is IUSTV sports reporter Zeke Shapiro. Zeke?
Thanks, Kennedy. With IU swim and dive making waves in college rankings, one swimmer is putting up a tsunami of great results. Anna Poplawski, a junior from Germantown, Illinois, put on one of the strongest performances of the season last week in IU's home victories. In the 200-meter freestyle, Poplawski posted a jaw-dropping time of 1:42.20. The impressive score was the third best in the country this season and secured Poplawski as the holder of the top 5 times in IU program history in the 200-meter. Poplawski and the IU swim and dive team next travels to the Big Ten tournament. That's all for this week's Hoosier Highlight. Now back to you at the desk.
The Indiana wrestling team battled Michigan State inside Wilkinson Hall on Sunday for its third straight home dual meet. Our Quincy Cofield has more.
Wrestling action took place in Wilkinson Hall this past Sunday as the Hoosiers took on the 22-ranked Michigan State Spartans. Heading into the meet undefeated at home, Coach Escobedo was asked about his team's establishment of home court advantage.
I think our team is really exciting, and people are seeing that. We're starting to win more, which, winning brings fans. And we're creating an environment in Wilkinson Hall where it's one of the toughest places to wrestle. And that's been my goal since I've been here, is build that atmosphere where when people come into Wilkinson, they're like, this is a hard environment to win.
The Hoosiers will go down 18-3 against the 22nd ranked Spartans. However, the home court advantage proved to be too much as the Hoosiers rally off 20 unanswered points to get a huge comeback victory.
The Hoosiers came out of intermission punching. Despite the 15-point deficit, the Hoosiers did what they have done all season, battle through adversity.
This team, it doesn't matter if we start 125 up, if we start 57 up, if the front half doesn't go our way, our team is built for adversity. We were built around adversity. So we were saying in the locker room, we're giving up, we're down 6 already, doesn't matter. We are built for adversity.
The Hoosiers will close the gap within 1 point with the match resting on the shoulders of grad student Graham Rooks. With a magical pin, Rooks would seal the comeback victory for the Hoosiers and the undefeated streak in Wilkinson Hall.
Our fans are getting into it, and it's just really exciting, really fun to go out there and perform for the people that come to see us. I think the other team feels it.
For IUSTV, I am Quincy Cofield.
The Hoosiers now travel to Columbus on Sunday for a date with the number 6 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. Follow at IUSTV Sports for updates.
The number 15 ranked Indiana water polo team had another strong weekend, highlighted by a pair of ranked wins over Harvard and Marist. Sophia Soley and Zoe Crouch each had hat tricks against Harvard as 7 Hoosiers scored in the win. Sophomore goalie Jasmine Higgs also had 9 saves in her first career goal. In the victory over Marist, Skylar Kidd scored a team-high 5 goals while Crouch had another hat trick. The Hoosiers also traveled to Providence, Rhode Island, and added 2 more wins over Panoma Pitzer and Brown to make a perfect 4-0 finish at the Bruno Open. The undefeated Indiana Hoosiers will host the Indiana Classic here at Councilman Billingsley Aquatic Center starting February 17th.
IU Swim and Dive competed in their final home meet of the season this past Friday, taking on both Wisconsin and Louisville. Our Ashley Voss has the recap.
Indiana battled against Wisconsin and Louisville in their last meet before the Big Ten championship.
I think this was a great meet for both genders to get prepared for Big Tens because the pressure was dialed up quite a bit, and there was some extremely high-level diving and swimming. So that's by design, why we had this meet now. So I think, we're in a good spot.
The Hoosiers rose to the challenge with the men's and women's divers sweeping the 1 and 3 meter events and junior swimmer Ching Wei Gan setting a program record in the women's 1,000 meter freestyle, earning the 3rd best time in the nation this season.
I think the program record was kind of a bonus to me. Coming into today, I didn't really think about what times I was gonna swim. All I really cared about was getting my hand on the wall to get as many points for IU as possible.
There was no shortage of energy in the stands and on deck as IU looks to add another year to that banner, with the support of Olympic alumni cheering them on.
Cody's like Yoda. You just listen to every word he says. He's so positive. And some of the pros that we have, like Lily, was doing some exhibition swimming, but just having those folks around, their wisdom, the positivity, the values.
The Hoosiers knew this was going to be a tougher meet, but with this support, Luz is confident they're ready for what's to come.
We're not going to fully peak at Big Tens. It's the next thing. Just another day at the office.
For IUSTV Sports, I'm Ashley Voss.
IU Swim and Dive will compete in the Big Ten Championship beginning February 21st, with NCAA's following shortly after to conclude their season.
Indiana men's tennis was back at home for 4 matches in 4 days at the IU Tennis Center. There was no shortage of intensity during the matches, and it all boiled over in the last match against Boise State with a thrilling 4-1 win, which included several point and game deductions due to outbursts by players. The Hoosiers were led by freshman Luka Kolyachev and sophomore Sam Landau, finished the weekend undefeated. The Hoosiers will be back at the IU Tennis Center this weekend when they host Drake, Brown, and Middle Tennessee State.
It was an emotional match. The doubles point was electric out here. I definitely think we used the home court advantage to our, we're so comfortable in here, and we had a great fan base, and guys were just fighting for each other.
Florida Atlantic University hosted the Indiana women's golf team for a 54-hole tournament earlier this week. Chloe and Faith Johnson celebrated their shared birthdays, carding a 73 and 72 respectively. Chloe finished tied for 9th, shooting a 3-day total of 215. Faith finished 16th with a total score of 218. Dominika Berdova closed her final round out at even par and finished tied for 18th in the tournament at 219 total strokes. Caroline Smith finished tied for 45th with a score of 226. Caroline Craig finished tied for 58th at 230. The team finished tied for 4th with a team score of 876. Indiana will travel to Houston, Texas next for the Icon Invitational on February 28th.
The Indiana men's golf team wrapped up the battle at Briars Creek tournament yesterday, finishing a 4th place as a team. Senior Drew Salliers finished tied for 4th individually by shooting a total of 142. Redshirt senior Noah Gillard finished tied for 4th as well with a total of 142. And graduate Thomas Hersey played a scorecard of 145 to finish tied for 15th. The Hoosiers will get back on the course during the IU alumni match in Naples, Florida on February 12th.
Now joining us in studio with this week's Candy Stripe calendar report is Hunter Berjansky. Hunter?
Thanks, Kennedy. It's an exciting and busy weekend coming up for the Hoosiers. Track and field participates in the Windy City Invitational in Chicago Friday through Saturday. Men's tennis goes up against Drake in the IU Tennis Center the same day at 5 p.m. Swinging over to softball, who finishes off the day competing against Clemson in Clearwater, Florida at 7 p.m. Saturday, women's tennis heads down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to face Kansas State at noon. Finishing off the day, men's basketball battles Purdue at West Lafayette, 8 p.m. To close out the weekend, wrestling hits the mat at Ohio State at noon, and women's basketball plays a home game against Purdue at 2 p.m. That does it for this week's Candy Stripe calendar. Back to you guys at the desk.
And that's our show for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports to keep up with all the latest in IU athletics. For our production crew behind us, I'm Kennedy Rehklau.
And I'm Sam Brunsman. We'll see you next week.